We begin today the Gemara on Daf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph, the third line from the top of the Amud. The Gemara here continues with halachas regarding a get that was given with a condition. There was a halacha brought in the Mishnah when a person made a condition. He gives a get with the condition that she will continue serving his father or continue feeding the baby for the amount of time necessary. So here the Braise specifies different variations of how this get, how this Tanai was said, and if the Tanai took effect or not. Sagt the Gemara Tan Rabbana, we learned in the Braise, Harei ze gitech al menashe teshamshe es abba shtei shanim. This is your get with the condition that you serve my father for 2 years. Val menashe taniki es beni shtei shanim. Or a condition that you will nurse the baby for 2 years. Af al pi shelo niskayim atnai. So even if this Tanai was not fulfilled, Harei ze get. The get takes effect. This Tanai of here is worthless. What's the reason? Lefi shalei omala, because he did not tell her in this Tanai clearly im tishamshi that the get will be a get if you will serve, and then also in the negative that im loy tishamshi, that if you will not serve it will not be a get. And the same thing regarding the condition of nursing. He didn't say im taniki, if you will nurse it will be a get, vim loy taniki, and if you will not nurse it will not be a get. This is Rab Meir's opinion. So this is Rab Meir's opinion, which was brought before in the Gemara on Daf Ayin Hey. He says every Tanai has to be a Tanai kofel. You have to say both sides of the Tanai, the yes and the no. And this is learned from the Tanai of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven, when Moshe Rabbeinu tells them over there that they will inherit the territory on the east of the Yarden. That's only if they go and fight together with the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. The Tanai was said both from the positive and the negative, and from there we learn that every Tanai, in order for it to take effect, you have to have a Tanai kofel. So here, in the way this Tanai was said, it wasn't doubled, so therefore there's no Tanai. The Chachamim say, Niskayim atnai, that the Tanai was fulfilled. Sorry, again, let's read this again. Chachamim say, it is a good Tanai. You don't need it to be doubled. So therefore, Niskayim atnai, harei ze get. If the Tanai was fulfilled, it'll be a get. Vim la, but if you don't fulfill the Tanai, ain't a get. It's not a get. This is a get that depends on this Tanai. So Chacham disagree to this whole thing. They say that we don't learn out from Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven that has to be a double Tanai. Chacham's opinion is Miklal Hein at Shemei Lav, Miklal Lav at Shemei Hein, that you don't have to specify. You understand that if it was made a Tanai, so if you don't fulfill it, it won't be a get. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says, Ein lecha Tanai b'ksuvim, you will not find a Tanai that's brought in the Torah she'ein kofel, which is not brought in this double way, meaning the positive and the negative. And Rashi here brings that if you look in the Psukim, in many different Tnaim, Rashi brings 3 examples. You'll see that it always says a Tnai kofel. Besides the example of Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven that I mentioned before, Rashi brings from the Tnai that Avram Avinu made with Eliezer, that he should bring the wife for Yitzchak, if he does bring, and if he does not bring, Avram Avinu said both. And same by a Saita, when it speaks about by the Saita, the Shvuah that they make with the Saita, it also says both the yes and the no, the positive and the negative. And also Rashi brings from a pasuk in Yeshaya, also in the Nevuah there, it says both the positive and the negative. So we always see in the Torah it brings a Tnai kofel. So what is Rab Shimon ben Gamliel trying to say with this? Is he agreeing to Rab Meir or to the Chachamim? So the Gemara brings 2 versions here. There are those that say, Le Rab Meir kamala. He's asking on Rab Meir. V'iked amri le Rabbanan kamila. That he's asking on the Rabbanan. Now the Gemara explains, he was asking Rab Meir, and this is what he was telling Rab Meir. In all the Psukim, whenever it brings a Tnai, it always says the Tnai with a double, with both sides of the Tnai, the yes and the no. So therefore, we have the following rule. It's like the Torah, whenever it writes the same halacha twice in 2 places, repeats it, and the rule is if the Torah repeats something twice, you can't learn from there to any other place. Because if the Torah would mean that you should learn from here, it's enough to say it once and you can learn out from there. If the Torah is repeating it, it means it wants to say that it's only in these 2 places, or in 3 or 4 places, which are however many places the Torah writes it in. So what he's saying to the Rab Meir is, you can't learn a general rule that a Tnai always has to be doubled. The fact that the Torah specifies it in these places means that over there it has to be double, and that's it. Ikadamri, but others say no, the Rabbanan kamalo. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel was asking on the Rabbanan, and this is what he's telling them. Ein lecha Tnai b'ksuvim she'ein kofel. You always find in the Torah that a Tnai is brought double. So therefore, we could learn out from there to every other place that a Tnai, in order for it to take effect, it must be double. So Rashi says that in the Gemara in Kedushin, it says that even though it repeats it again in the Torah, so if it's Shnei Ksuvim, or even more than Shnei, you shouldn't be able to learn out from there. But the Gemara in Kedushin explains that each time the Torah says it, there's a reason for it. There's a tzricha, there's a reason why the Torah is saying it each time. Taisus here says that the Gemara in Kedushin doesn't really say this, but there has to be some reason why the Torah says it each time, and therefore we could learn out from there to every other place that it has to be at Tnai Kafel. But the Gemara now asks a contradiction from what we just learned here about this argument between Rav Meir and the Rabbanon. So we have here another brayso that brings the machlokes of Rav Meir and the Rabbanon differently. The brayso says, again, the same case. This is your get with the condition that you served my father for 2 years. Or Al Menashe Taniki is Benishte Shanim. Give you the get with the condition that you nursed the baby for 2 years. Meisa and Meisa Ben. What happens if the father dies or the son dies before the 2 years are up and she did not fulfill the Tnai? He specified clearly 2 years and she did not get to fulfill the Tnai. Ain't a get. So then it will not be a get. The Tnai wasn't fulfilled. Divrei Rab Meir. This is Rab Meir's opinion. The Chachamim say, Afal Pisha Lein Iskayim Atnai, even though the Tanai was not fulfilled, Harei ze get, but the get still takes effect. Why? Because she can argue and say, Loi, to the husband, Ten li avicha v'Hashem shenu. I'm ready to fulfill my Tanai. Give me your father and I'll serve him. Ten li bincha, give me your son, v'ani kenu, and I'll nurse him. So she's saying it's not my fault that I can't fulfill the Tanai. They passed away, so it's not possible. Says the Gemara, Kashye de Rab Meir ad Rab Meir. We have a contradiction now here in Rab Meir's opinion. In the previous brayso it brought that in such a case where the Tnai was not made as a Tnai kofel, there is no Tnai at all. And here Rab Meir is saying that it is a Tnai. And if the father passes away, so then the Tnai wasn't fulfilled, and it's not a get. And Kashye de Rabbanon ad Rabbanon. There's a contradiction in the opinion of the Rabbanon. Before, the Rabbanon said that you must fulfill the Tnai, otherwise it's not a get. And here the Rabbanan is saying a new thing, that even if she does not fulfill the Tnai, the father passed away, and still the get will take effect. So the Gemara answers that Rab Meir ad Rab Meir lo kashya. There's no contradiction in the opinion of Rab Meir. Hasam, in the previous brayso, b'deloi kofle l'tnai, as the brayso itself spells out that it's speaking specifically in a case where the Tnai was not doubled. So therefore it doesn't take effect. Hacha b'dekofle l'tnai. Over here, the brayso doesn't spell out that they did not double the Tnai, so it's understood that according to Rab Meir, the Tnai was made properly, was made with a double Tnai, and therefore it takes effect. Rabbanon ad Rabbanon leikashit. There's no contradiction in the Rabbanon's opinion as well. Man chachamim dahacha. Which opinion is this? Who are the chachamim here? In this brayso and in the previous brayso, it's Rab Shimon Gamliel here. This is Rab Shimon Gamliel's opinion. This is Rab Shimon Gamliel that was brought in the end of the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Hey Amud Beis. The Omar, Rab Shimon Gamliel says, Kol akova. In such a kind of Tnai, where the husband is demanding of his wife with a condition that she should do something that he needs from her. So if she can't get it done, she'ena himena, but it's not something that she doesn't want to do it. It's just that it's impossible. Like over here, the husband says, you're going to feed my father, or you're going to take care of my father. You're going to feed the baby. And the father's not here, so he doesn't need that service anymore. So if it's not something that she's not willing to fulfill the Tnai, reizeh get. The get will take effect because we consider that she fulfilled the Tnai. She fulfilled the Tnai to the best that she's able. So therefore, Chachamim hold that there is a Tnai, like they said in the first brayso. But over here, in the second brayso, it's speaking about a case where the husband or the baby passed away, so she doesn't have to fulfill it. Or it's considered to be that the Tnai is fulfilled as is.
Not dependent on her.
Yeah. Tanur Rabbanon, we learned in another brayso, another halacha about the Tnai. Amala, he tells her, when he gives her the get, B'fnei Shnayim, and he says this in front of two Eidim. Harei zeh gitech, here, this is your get, al menas sheteshamshi es abba, with the condition that you're going to serve my father, Beishana, for 2 years. Now, for whatever reason, he didn't end up actually giving her the get yet. And then, later on, v'chazav amala, b'fnei Shnayim, and then, when he comes to actually give her the get, now he says in front of another two Eidim, Harei zeh gitech al menas shetitnu li masayim zuz. Here, this is your get, and now he comes up with a new condition. On the condition that you're going to give me 200 zuz. So, what happened over here? He made one Tnai before, a new Tnai now. So which Tnai is what takes effect here for this get? Says the Gemara, Loi bitel divrei ha'achrein eserishen. The second Tnai that he made in front of two Eidim does not nullify the Tnai that he made before in front of another two Eidim. And therefore, Ratzasa misham shasai. if she wants, she can fulfill the first Tnai and she serves the father, and that's the fulfillment of the Tnai, and the get will take effect. Ratzasa, if she wants, Nisenes Le Messiah Zuz, she fulfills the second Tnai, she gives him 200 Zuz, and the get will take effect. That's what Rashi explains. If what he meant to do was to retract from the first Tnai and just come up with a new Tnai now, so then he wouldn't say this in front of another two set of Edom. He would he would come and say that the Tnai that I said before is not a good Tnai, and he would say in front of the same people that he's being mevatel that original Tnai, and he's making a new Tnai. That's not what he did. He said a Tnai in front of two Edom. Now he comes up with a different Tnai in front of another two Edom. So he was never mevatel the first Tnai. On the other hand, we also can't say that he meant to have both Tnaim together. We're going to have the first Tnai and the second Tnai, because it's not what he did. He didn't come and tell the first two Eidim, besides the first Tnai I told you before, I want to now add a second. He said one Tnai in front of one group of Eidim, another Tnai in front of another group of Eidim. So therefore the Brisa says, the way we interpret this is, he's telling her, you have a choice. You could either fulfill the first Tnai or the second Tnai.
But he never gave the get.
Again? No, he gave her. He ended up giving her the
No,
get.
the first time he never gave the get.
No, he didn't give the get yet, but he made the Tnai though.
So what's the Edom going to say?
What is?
What are the Edom going to say?
That they heard the husband saying clearly that he's only going to divorce her if she fulfills this Tnai. Even
right.
if even
and he never gave the get. So
he didn't give it yet. You can make the Tnai even if he doesn't give it right away. That Tnai takes effect.
Okay.
But what happens if he says in front of two Eidim? I'm giving you this get with the condition that you pay me 200 zuz. And then then he says in front of another two Eidim, he's talking about the same subject, money. And he says, not 2, but 300 zuz. Here, in this case, I say, bittul divrei ha'achre nesarishain, that what he said now, the second Tnai, is mevatel the previous Tnai. Because over here, you clearly see that he doesn't want 200. His appetite grew. He wants to have 300. So there, we're not going to say she can either give three if she wants to be generous, or 2 if she doesn't. No, he wants dafka 300. Then the Brisa concludes that ve'ein echad min harishaynim ve'echad min ha'achraynim mitztarfen. You can't have one aid of the first Eidim that were there when he made a condition, and one aid of the second set of Eidim that were there when he made a condition, to combine together to testify that there was a condition on this get, and therefore it can't take effect until the condition is fulfilled. In other words, what would happen if the Isha later comes and says, here, I have my get, I'm divorced, and the husband says, you're not divorced, we made a condition. And the husband's going to bring one aid from the first group and one aid from the second group to prove that there was a condition. You can't combine. You have to have either the two Eidim from the first or the two Eidim of the second to prove that there was a Tnai here. Now the Gemara is going to explain on which case is this going on. We had here two cases in the Brisa. Says the Gemara, this last point here, on which two of these cases of the Brisa is it going on? Ilema Seife, is it going on the second case that we just said, but Hare Bottle. In the second case we just said, obviously you can't bring any Eidim from the first group, because what we just said is that once he makes the Tnai with the second group of Eidim, that I want you to give me 300 instead of 200, so then that's the only Tnai. The previous Tnai is gone, is nullified. So why is the Brisa saying you can't combine? It's mashma that you can bring from the first group if you would bring both Eidim of the first group, but the first Tnai is gone. So it can't be going on the Reisha. Ella, says the Gemara, on the Sefer that is, on the second case here. Ella, says the Gemara, Areisha. What is going on is on the first case. Right? In the first case it said that the Tnai was made in such a way that she has now a choice, either to fulfill the first Tnai or the second Tnai. So what it's saying is, but it's two different Tnaim. The first set of Eidim heard one Tnai. The second set of Eidim heard a different Tnai. So you can't combine one of each to prove that there was a Tnai here. That's what the Brisa is saying. But the Gemara asks him that, Pshita, isn't that obvious? If each aid heard a different Tnai, how could you combine them to prove her that there was a Tnai here? So the Gemara answers, it's not so obvious. Because Ma'al de Teime, I would think to say, Kol l'kiyum Tnai mitztarfen. Maybe to prove that there was some Tnai, even if it's not the same Tnai, they could combine. In other words, she's arguing and saying, this is my get and there's no Tnai. I'm divorced. The husband is saying, no, there's a Tnai here. You're not yet divorced. You didn't fulfill any of the Tnaim. So maybe I would think you can take one aid and one aid, even if it's not the same Tnai, just to prove the fact that there was some Tnai here. Not like she's saying that there's no Tnai. Kamash Malon, that's what the Braisa is teaching me. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the Eidim that saw this Tnai, the same Tnai. If each Eid saw a different Tnai, so for each Tnai you have only one Eid. So you have no Raya that there's a Tnai here, and therefore she'll be divorced like there's no Tnai. Zog Teilige Mishneh, another case, another halacha regarding a Tnai.
In essence, we're saying over here that the two Eidim are saying there is two Eidim that is tonight. There's only not two Eidim for what the tonight is.
Right, correct. And therefore, but we say that each aid is saying his Tnai, and we don't have a raya that the other Tnai is right. So for each Tnai, you only have one aid. So the way we look at it is, we have no raya of two aidim that is a Tnai. At the end of the day, that's what it comes out. If he gives her the get and he makes a condition, if I'm not going to return for 30 days. So if the husband was traveling to a certain location, and he says, if I remain in that location for 30 days, then you'll be divorced. So the Mishnah gives the example. He was traveling from Yehuda to Golol. These are two sections in Eretz Yisrael, from the south to the north. Golol is in the north. Higia Antifris. Now the husband arrived to the city Antifris. And right now our understanding is that Antifris is a city in Golol, the first city in the beginning of Golol. So he arrived already into Golol. And V'chazar, he returned within 30 days. So Batal Tnai. So his condition is nullified because he did not remain there for 30 days. So once he nullified his Tanai that he made, so the whole get that he gave here is nullified, and that's it. You can't use this get again, because he said he's only giving this get. What happened? He was leaving, and he didn't. He said if I stay far away long enough in that location, then we're going to use this get. But once he nullified the Tanai, so that means that the whole get can't be used anymore. Right, but what would have happened if he would have traveled away? And he never ended up arriving to that location. He never arrived to Golol. He was on the way there, but he never arrived there. And then he comes back. He never was mevatel the Tnai, because he wasn't there and came back. The point that the Mishnah here is saying is, he arrived to Antifris. He already came to Golol, and he did not stay there 30 days like his condition was. Then if he comes back, we say that Tnai is batel. Similar example, but in the opposite.
But if
he never arrived to Golol.
Yeah.
He was just on the road, but he never came there to Golol yet. And so then he has a chance to fulfill his Tnai in the future. Yeah, if he'll go to Golol and then he'll stay there for 30 days, so then the Tnai could still be fulfilled. Similar halacha, he says to her, this is your get, if I don't come back for 30 days, meaning he remains in a certain location for 30 days. So then what happened over here? It's the opposite. He was traveling from the north to the south. He was going to Yehuda. And he came to the town called Kfar Usnoi. So right now our understanding is that Kfar Usnoi is a city at the beginning of Yehuda. And he did not remain there for 30 days. He returned. Batal Tnai. So he was Mavatal Tnai because he actually went to that location and he did not stay there 30 days like he said. So now you can't use this get anymore. But again, if he would have traveled to that direction, but he never arrived to that location, and then he returned, so then we're not mevatel the get. He still has a chance to fulfill the Tnai if he goes to that location and stays there for 30 days. A third halacha, and the same idea. I'm giving you this get, and it'll be a get if I stay in that location for 30 days. And where was he going to? He was traveling to a place which is outside Eretz Yisrael, Medina Sayam. And he traveled and he reached to the city of Akai. So now, again, our understanding is that Akai is a city in the beginning of Medina Sayam. And he returned, Batal Tnai. So again, he already arrived to that location and he did not stay there for 30 days, so his mevatel is condition, and the whole getel is batal, and you can't use it again. The last halacha of the Mishnah, Hareze Gitech, he gives her the get and he says it'll be a get. Kozman she'ever mikeneged panecha shloishim yoim. If I went away from in front of you for 30 days, so he doesn't say where he's going to go to, but he says if I'm just not going to be in front of you for 30 days, says the Mishnah, he's coming and going, which means he never was away from her for 30 days. But because he was not secluded with her, he never had relations with her, Hareze get. So the get will take effect. And the Gemara will explain why this is. So the Gemara, based on what it said in the pshat that we just learned in our Mishnah, lememre shall we say, Dan Tifris begolol have kaima. That the city Antifris is a city at the beginning of Golol. And therefore, once he arrives to the city Antifris, we say he already came to Golol. And if he returns, if he did not stay there for 30 days, he was mevatel tonight. But I'll ask you from what it says in the Braisa, this is not so. The Braisa says regarding this case where a person makes this tonight, and it says Antifris bi-Yehuda. Antifris is a city which is still at the end of Yehuda, in the end of the section of Eretz Yisrael which is called Yehuda, and Kfar Usnoi is Begolol, and Kfar Usnoi is considered to be a place which is the beginning of Golol. Bein Tayim, between these two cities, Antifris and Kfar Usnoi, so Matila Noisei L'chumra. Over here, there will be it's L'chumra, whether she's divorced or not. So here, what this Bryce is saying is, if a person makes a condition that he's going to go to Golol, and he only went to Antifris, he did not come to Golol yet. Antifris is still considered to be inside Yehuda. And the opposite also with Kfar Snoi, if he makes a condition he's going to go to Yehuda, Kfar Snoi, he did not arrive to Yehuda yet. Kfar Snoi is still part of Golol. And now regarding the places in between, we have to be machmer. And therefore we say Mugareshes, Vein and Mugareshes. She'll be divorced on one hand, but not divorced on the other hand. Which means, regarding a Kayin, her being allowed to get remarried to her husband, a Kayin, we consider her ready to be divorced. But she's not divorced that we can allow her to go and get married to whoever she wants, because possibly it's not a Gedishin. So the point is, we see over here the exact opposite of the way we learned the Pshat in our Mishnah. So how are we going to learn Pshat in our Mishnah? Why does our Mishnah say that if she arrived to the city of Antifris, when the Tanai was, if I go to Golol, not she again, if the husband that is, if the husband arrived to the city of Antifris, when he made a Tanai that I'm going to stay there for 30 days, and he's there, and he comes back, he was Mevatelis Tanai. Why was he Mevatelis Tanai? He didn't arrive to Golol yet. Antifris is not part of Golol. So therefore the Gemara gives now a new pshat in our Mishnah. Amar Abaye, says Abaye, our Mishnah is speaking about a different kind of a t'nai. Trei t'nai kamala. When he made a t'nai with her, the way to understand our Mishnah was that there's two t'naim that he said. Imatina l'golel alta. The first t'nai that he meant to say is the husband's traveling, he's going far away. So what he's saying is like this: if I travel so far that I reach all the way till Golol, so then la'alta la'avigita. Then you'll be divorced right away because I went so far, all the way till Golol. Now, another thing he said was in his Tanai, if I don't return for 30 days, but I remain on the way for 30 days, and I do not come back, even if I did not go so far, even if I didn't reach to Golol, it should also be a get. And then on that, the Mishnah says, Higia l'antifris v'chazar. So if he went to Antifris, which is still a city that's not in Golol yet, it's still just on the road, and v'chazar, and he came back, Duloi legolol mata, so he did not fulfill his t'nai by reaching to Golol. So if you would have gone so far all the way to Golol, so then even if you would have been there just for one moment, the get would have been a get. And also v'loi ishtayu nami ishtoy tlosin yaimin, and he did not remain on the road for 30 days, so therefore batal t'nai, he left. And then he came back and he did not remain for 30 days. He was mevatelis t'nai, and you can't use this get anymore. That's the case of our Mishnah. So it fits with the fact that Antifris is still in Yehuda. It's not yet in Golol. And the same thing is also the opposite regarding Kfar Snoi, that Kfar Snoi is still in Golol, and therefore it's this double t'nai that the Gemara just said. Okay, the Gemara now says this pshat also regarding the continuation of the Mishnah. It said in the Mishnah, and where was he traveling to? He was going to Medina Sayamim, outside Eretz Yisrael. And the Mishnah said if he arrived to Akoi and he came back, so then he was Mevatelis t'nai, because he didn't stay there for 30 days. Says the Gemara, so remember, shall we say, according to what it says in the Mishnah, the Akoi, Medina Sayam, that the city of Akoi is not part of Eretz Yisrael anymore. It's considered to be Chutz La'aretz, Medina Sayam. How could that be? Because V'ha'amar Rav Safra said, Ki havu miftiri Rabbana ma'adodi, when the Rabbanan would depart from each other, when there was one that was going out to Chutz La'aretz, so where was this? Ba'akav and miftiri. The last city that they would go to accompany him was in the city of Akoi. Why? Mishum da'asa lotze is meretz l'chutz la'aretz. Further than this, it's asa to leave, not allowed to go out into Chutz La'aretz. So we see that Akkai is still part of Eretz Yisrael. So why is our Mishnah saying that when he arrived to Akkai and he returned before 30 days, he was Mevatelis t'nai, he never went to Akkai yet. He never went to Chutz La'aretz yet. He never went to Medina Sayam yet. Amar Abaye, so Abaye answers, today, t'nai kamala. Like we said before, the case of our Mishnah is that the husband made two different conditions. What he said was, Imatina Medina Sayam, if I travel so far and I reach to Medina Sayam, la'alta la'avigita, then the get will be right away. But then he said, even if I don't reach so far, but I stay and I on the road traveling for 30 days, and I don't return, it should be a get as well. And then what happens? So the Mishnah says, even if he reached to Akka, which is the last city, which is still part of Eretz Yisrael, and then he returned, even though he didn't arrive yet into Medina Sayyam, he's still in Eretz Yisrael, so he did not fulfill his Tanai by being one moment in Medina Sayyam. His Tanai was, if he would be one moment, it would be a get. So he didn't come yet to Medina Sayyam. But he also didn't stay on the road for 30 days. Came back. Battled Noi. So he was Mevatlas Nai, and you can't use this get again. So here in our Gemara we see that Akka is part of Eretz Yisrael. There's a thesis in the beginning of the Masechta that says that Akka is actually a city. Half of it is in Eretz Yisrael, and half of it is outside Eretz Yisrael. That's what it says in the Yerushalmi.
Yeah,
So,
in the Mishnah we learned that he could go over and do his tonight. He could fulfill his tonight later on.
That's
he cannot do it. Right?
That's what Rashi. I explained that according to what Rashi says in the Mishnah. But now we're saying that once he was on the road already and he did not stay there for 30 days, so then he was Mavatal night. Yeah. Yeah. The next case was the Mishnah said he made a Tnai. He tells his wife, if I won't be in front of you for 30 days. Then the Mishnah said, even though he was coming and going and he was in front of her for these 30 days, the get still takes effect. He didn't go away from her for 30 days. Amar Ravuna, so Ravuna explains that's not what he meant. My panecha, when he says I won't be in front of you, the term panecha here means tashmish, that we're not going to have marital relations for 30 days. Then the get will take effect. So why does he say this expression that if I won't be in front of you for 30 days? He's using a more finer language. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, the pshat is like we learned the Mishnah before. La'olam panecha mamish. The tight chair of the Mishnah is that he says, if I'm not going to be in front of you for 30 days. But the way we have to understand the Mishnah is, mi katani. Does the Mishnah say, reizu migureshes? That if she was coming and going, that she will be divorced? That's not what the Mishnah is saying. What it says in the Mishnah is, hareze get katani. That the get is still a get that could be used. What the Mishnah is saying is the loy have a get yoshan, that this get will not consider to be an old get. There's a halacha of a get yoshan that you can't use this get because there's a concern that maybe after the get was written, he had a relation with her, and such a get is exedim d'Rabbanan not to be used. In this case, what the Mishnah is saying is that we're not chayshish for that. We're not chayshish, and therefore you can still use the get. But she's not divorced yet. The condition wasn't fulfilled because he was coming and going. Right, so in other words, in the previous cases of the Mishnah, the Chiddush was that he made a certain condition. He says, if I go and I stay for 30 days, there, if he went and did not stay 30 days, he went and actively was mevatel the Tnai, there we understand that he was only giving the get because he was going on the road. And he thought he would be he would be far away for a long time, and therefore he wants the get to take effect. And if he's not away for a long time, he was mevatel the whole point of the get. So the get is botli. You can't use the get again. But over here, when he says, if I won't be in front of you, and he's coming and going, we don't say that he was mevatel the whole entire get. She's not yet divorced. He didn't fulfill the tnai. But the get could still be used, and it's not a get yoshan. So the Gemara asks on this. When am I over here? 1 second. Again, so Rabbi Yochanan, right? Rabbi Yochanan's pshat over here. 1 second. Get yoshan ein chayshishin shaharei lo nisyachedima. Because again, the reason why we're not chayshish for a get yoshan is because he was not together with her. He wasn't nisyached with her. So therefore, the get could still be used. The whole concept of a get yoshan is because after the get is written and he's with her together, then you can't use the get anymore. But how do you know? Why aren't we chayshish for this? Why shouldn't we be concerned that he wrote the get in the beginning? He was angry at her. But then later on, maybe he appeased her, and maybe they were together. So it's a get yashan, you can't use it anymore. Rabbi Baravuna says, Hachi Abmar, Abamari, Mishmei Derav. So Abamari said in the name of Rav that we must say that what it's speaking about over here is, Ba'omer nemenes alai loima shaloi basi. That when he made the condition with her, he specified very clearly that you're going to be believed to say that I did not have any relations with you. And therefore, the get could be used. So she's believed to say that her husband did not have any relations with her. But in a regular case, Taka, it'll be a get yashan. We can't trust them. But over here, that was part of what the husband made up with her from the beginning, that she's going to be believed, like 100 Eidim. Ike the masnilo amasnisen. There are those that taught this statement here that Abba Mari brought in the name of Rav, that she had to, the case over here is that there was a special condition that he made with her that she's going to be trusted about this. Some taught this on the Mishnah, and this is actually the next Mishnah that we're about to learn here. What does it say there in the Mishnah? He gives her a get, and he makes the following t'nai, that it may achshav, the get should take effect now. If I don't return for 12 months, and then umeis b'toich yud beis chodesh, he dies before 12 months are up. Harei get, the get takes effect. Why? Because he said me'achshav. Me'achshav means that retroactively the get takes effect now, and that's before he passed away. But on that Mishnah as well, the question was asked, V'leiches shem apiyis. Why aren't we concerned that maybe he appeased her, or most Rishayim, or actually Gaitis here in the Gemara, V'leiches shem abba. Let's be chayshish. He said if he won't come. But how do you know? Maybe sometime in the middle of the night, maybe he came. And therefore, how could you rely on this get being a good get? And on that, Amar Rabba Baravona Hochi Amar Abba Mari Mishmei Derav Ba'oime Nemenes Alai Loima Shaloi Basi. Of the case must be that the husband made a clear condition with his wife that when he made the condition that the get should take effect if he does not show up within 12 months, that she's going to be trusted to say that the husband did not come. But otherwise, Taka, we can't use this get because we don't know. Maybe he came. Now the Gemara says, Man de masni lo amasnisin, the one that learns this statement regarding the Mishnah, that in the Mishnah, the get will only be a get because the husband made this special condition here. So only then do we say that she's trusted, kol shekain abraisa. So for sure you apply this to the braisa. Right? And the reason is because the Mishnah is speaking about a case where the condition was that he left for 12 months, and he said, if I don't come for 12 months, it's much less likely that the husband actually came. We didn't see him coming. Whereas in the braisa, before we spoke about the case where the husband came and went. He was here right in front of her, and we don't know if he was. What was the case before? The Braisa. Oh, I see. I skipped something before in the Braisa. I see now the pshat in the Gemara. It's going to be. See, when I learned before, I skipped this Tanya Kavasei. We have to go back before to the Tanya Kavasei. I'm sorry about this. So I see. I skipped a few words before. That's why. Look, before in the Gemara when it said the have get yashan. So what did the Gemara say before? After 30 days it's a get, and here the Gemara brings the Braisa. Tanya Kavasei the Rabbi Yochanan. What does the Braisa say? Hareze gitech kozman she'evar mikeneget panecha shloishim yoim. This is your get if I won't be in front of you for 30 days. And he's there, he's in front of her for 30 days, he's coming and going. But hareze get. Because he was not together with her, hareze get. What does that mean? Not that she's divorced, but that the get could still be used. Get yashan ein chayshishin. Shaharei loy nisyachedima. So we're not chayshish that he was nisyached with her because we trust the fact that they were not together. Now on that braisa, it was brought in the name of Rav that's when is there a trust that the husband wasn't together with her, only if the husband made up with his wife that she's going to be trusted to say so. Alright, so what the Gemara is now explaining is, if you're going to say, regarding the Mishnah, when a husband makes a condition that he's going to leave for 12 months, and we never saw him come back, that over there, only if he made a condition with his wife, will she be trusted. But if he did not make this condition, she will not be trusted. For sure over here in the Braise, where it's not talking about a husband that's leaving for 12 months. It's talking about a husband that's here in the vicinity. And the whole Tanai was that you're not going to be in front of me for 30 days. For sure over here, it's not. There's not going to be. There won't be any. We're not going to trust that the husband did not have any relations with her, unless he made it up a fetish with her, because he's right over here in the vicinity. On the other hand, let's continue now the Gemara inside. Man de mastin law, a braise, the one that says regarding the braise that if he made this condition, then she's going to be trusted because he said that I will trust you. So that's only regarding the braise, because the case of the braise is that the husband is in the vicinity, he's coming and going. So over here, it's much more likely that he actually appeased her and may have been together with her. So only if he made a special condition will she be trusted. Avala masnisen, but on the case of the Mishnah where the husband is leaving for 12 months, he's not even here. and we never saw him coming, so halayasa. Then, even if the husband didn't make up with her specifically that I trust you, we're not going to be chayshish because we haven't seen him coming at all. We never saw him come back. Here's this halacha about the condition about leaving for 12 months. So Hareza Gittin, he gives her a get and he says it should be a get if I don't come back for 12 months. And then he dies within 12 months. So the condition is fulfilled, right? Because he didn't come back. But ain't a get. It can't be a get. And the reason is simple, because the condition is fulfilled after he dies. There is no get after the husband dies. But if he gives it a get and he says the get should take effect now. And then he says, and the condition is if I don't come back for 12 months. And then he passes away within 12 months. The get does take effect because he said me'achshav. The get takes effect before with the condition that he didn't come back within 12 months. So the get really takes effect from before he passed away. Now, what happens if the husband said he tells people, if I don't come back before 12 months, so then kisvu utnu get liishti. Right? And give a get for my wife. So what happened? What did these people do? Kosvu get b'toich yud beis chaydish. They already prepared the get. They wrote it before 12 months. V'nosnu lacha yud beis chaydish. They gave the get after 12 months. Ain't a get. So in such a case, it's not a get because he specified very clearly, if I don't come back before 12 months, only then should you write and give. And they wrote the get before. But if the case was, he said a little bit different. He said first, Kisvu utnu get leishti. Write and give the get to my wife. If I don't come back before 12 months. In such a case, if kasvu b'toich yud beis chaydish v'nasnu lach yud beis chaydish, it was written before 12 months and it was given after 12 months. So the Tanna Kama says the halacha remains the same. Ain't a get. It's not a get. But Rabbi Yosi says, kazeh get. No, in such a case, it is a get. Even though it was written before, but as long as it was given after 12 months, it will be a get. Well, now what happens regarding this case where he made the condition and the get could only take effect after 12 months? So, kasvay lacha yud beis chaydish. The get was written after 12 months. V'nasnai lacha yud beis chaydish. And it was also given after the 12 months. But the husband died. So, ima get, kaidum lemise, harei get. If the get was given before he died, so then it's a get. But but if he died before the get was given to her, ain't a get, so then it's not a get, obviously, because he already died. There's no get after he passes away. If it's unknown whether the husband died before the get was given or after, this will be another case where the halach is it's a suffix if it's a get. So we're machmer to say that she is divorced, and we're also machmer to say that she's not divorced. Tane, we learned in our Braisa regarding the halacha that it said in our Mishnah. The first case in our Mishnah, where the husband says, if I don't come for 12 months, you should be divorced. What did it say in the first halacha in the Mishnah? That if the husband died, she's not divorced because that's achamisa. So we learned that Rabbi Seinu hitirua li nase. That the chachamim that came and said, no, that the get is a get. Now the Gemara explains, man Rabbi Seinu. So first of all, who wore these rebbes? Amar Rav Yudah Mashmul Beidine, it's the same bezdin, the sharu mishche, that will matter the iser of using the shemen, the oil that comes from Goyim. Now, the reason why they will matter here this get is because Savri law Rabbi Yosi, they hold like Rabbi Yosi, the Amar Zmanoi shel shtar mechiyah chalav. When you make a condition and you have a date that's written in the shtar, even if the husband did not specify Mei Achshav, that I want the get to take effect from now, you don't have to say the word Mei Achshav. The very fact that there's a date in the get, that's like saying Mei Achshav. It's clear that his condition is that the get should take effect from before if the get if the condition is fulfilled. So even if the husband died, the get takes effect from before. Amar Rabbi Bereid Rab Chiye Ba'abe Amar Rab Yechanan. Rab Yehuda Nesiya B'noi Shel Rab Gamliel Ba Rebbe. Who was really this person? Who was the Rabbein, this Rabbi Seinu that were mat to this? This was the grandson of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, and he was called Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, the same name as his grandfather. So Hayre, he's the one that taught this halacha, like Rabbi Yosi, that you could rely that the get takes effect. But v'loy hoyduloi kol siyate. All of his colleagues did not agree to him. V'amrillah, others say kol shaitai. As long as he was alive, they did not agree to him. Now about this halacha, the Gemara has in Ibaye, Amalei Rabbi Lazar hu sabe. Rabbi Lazar asked one of those elders that were there together with that bezdin that was mat to this. Kishar Yusa, when they allowed this get to take effect, even though there's a Tnai after 12 months, and the husband dies somewhere in the middle. And they say that now the get does take effect, because even without Me'achshav, it takes effect from before. But when does it take effect? La'alter, as soon as the husband dies within the 12 months, it takes effect. La'alter shar yusa, immediately they will matter and the get takes effect. Or la'achar shnei masal chodesh shar yusa. Or shar yisua, that is. Or the get only takes effect after 12 months. And the Gemara explains the shaila. La'alter shar yisua, do I say that the get takes effect immediately? The holayasi. Because we know the husband died. He's not going to come. What was the T'nai? The T'nai was if I don't come within 12 months. So if he died after 6 months, we know he's not going to come. There's no reason to wait till 12 months. The get could take effect right away. The condition is fulfilled. Or perhaps, they will only matter after 12 months. Only then is the T'nai fulfilled. So most Rishonim learn the Pshat in the Gemara is that this is a Gzeirim Midrabanan. Menatayra, there's no reason to wait 12 months because we know the husband is not coming. But midrabanan, we don't want anyone to compare this case to another case where the husband's still alive, so they were geyser that the get should not take effect until after 12 months. That was the shaila that was asked on this case over here, on this halacha that they paskind.
It's only on, if he says Me'achshav, it's also
Fragt the Gemara, v'tibayile masnisin, why don't we have the exact same ibay on the Mishnah itself? Me'achshav, v'moibasim, mikam, vad yud beis chodesh, the case in the Mishnah where everyone agrees. If it was specified me'achshav, and therefore then the get does take effect if the condition is fulfilled, umeis b'toich yud beis chodesh, even if the husband dies within 12 months, harei zeh get, so you could ask the same shaila over here. La'alta have, is the get right away a get, the holayasi, because he died, and we know he's not coming. Or only after 12 months, when the actual condition is fulfilled, then the get is a get. So why don't we ask the question on the Mishnah directly? Why do they only ask this question on the opinion of Rabbi Yosi that's talking about a case which is not me'achshav? So the Gemara says, "En hachanami." The exact same question could be asked on our Mishnah as well. But mishum dahave bahu ma'isa, over there, the one that asked the shaila was there by that time when all these chachamim paskin that the same would be even without me'achshav. So he wanted to be mevader by those chachamim that were discussing this matter, that they specify clearly the halacha regarding this. But the same shaila would be on the Mishnah as well.